Hey, welcome. Today, we're diving into what is, quite possibly, the biggest question humanity has ever asked. You know, the one that gets right to the heart of everything. Where did we and all of this come from?
Seriously, how did it all start? The stars, the planets, you, me, the whole shebang. For as long as we've been, well, human, we've stared up at the night sky and just wondered. And you know what? Every single culture in history has come up with an answer. So, our journey is going to start right there, at the very beginning, by looking at how people first tried to make sense of it all. Before we had all our fancy telescopes and particle accelerators, we had something else, something just as powerful, really: stories. For thousands of years, myths and religion gave us the very first explanations for creation, a way to bring some meaning and order to a pretty mysterious world. And these creation stories from around the globe are just incredible, so diverse and so beautiful. Let's just take a quick look at a few of them. I mean, just look at the variety here. Down in Brazil, the Tupi people tell stories of a goddess who literally molded people from clay. Then you have the Babylonians, who talked about creation coming from a dragon's blood. The Hindu tradition sees it as this huge cosmic cycle of creation, then preservation, and finally destruction, over and over again. And of course, in the Hebrew account, the entire universe is spoken into existence. The methods are different, the gods are different, but they're all searching for the same thing: a purposeful origin. So for thousands of years, these amazing stories were our answer. But then, around 500 BCE, over in ancient Greece, something starts to shift. A thinker, Thales of Miletus, he looks at the world and suggests a totally different kind of origin. Not a divine act, but a natural substance: water. And that, right there, was a massive turning point for human thought. And this pivot didn't just give us a new kind of answer, it actually led to asking a whole new kind of question. You see, the whole focus flips. We go from asking who created the universe to asking how the universe began. That single shift, away from looking for a divine author and towards understanding a physical process, well, that's the foundation of all modern science. And this quest for the how has led us to our best scientific explanation today: the Big Bang model. It was first put forward by a Belgian priest and physicist, which is pretty cool, named Georges Lemaitre. And the model basically says our entire universe burst out from an unbelievably hot, dense little point almost 14 billion years ago.
But how could we possibly know that? It sounds kind of like science fiction, right? Well, it's like a giant cosmic detective story. For the last century or so, scientists have been gathering clues that were left behind from that very first moment. And honestly, the evidence is pretty powerful. There are really four main pillars of evidence holding this whole theory up. First, we can see the universe is expanding. Second, we see a very specific mix of elements out there. Third, there's a faint echo of the big event still hanging around. And finally, the basic laws of energy point to a beginning. So let's dig into that first clue. Okay, it all starts with something you've definitely experienced yourself: the Doppler effect. You know that sound an ambulance makes? It's a high-pitched wee as it comes at you, and then a low-pitched woo as it drives away. That's because the sound waves get squished together on the way in and stretched out on the way out. Well, guess what? The exact same thing happens with light. When light waves from a galaxy far, far away are stretched, they shift toward the red part of the spectrum. We call that redshift. If they were getting compressed, they'd shift to blue. So back in the 1920s, the astronomer Edwin Hubble made a wild discovery. Nearly every single galaxy he could see showed a redshift. They were all moving away from us. It was the first real proof that the whole fabric of space is expanding. Okay, clue number two: the ingredients list. When we analyze all the normal matter in the universe, we find that it's almost all made of the two simplest, lightest elements, about 75% hydrogen and 23% helium. And this is the amazing part. That is the exact ratio our Big Bang models predict would have been cooked up in those first few super hot minutes of the universe's life. Then, in 1965, scientists basically tripped over the smoking gun. It's called the cosmic microwave background. The best way to think about it is like the faint, warm afterglow from that initial explosion. It's a thermal echo that fills every single nook and cranny of space. It is literally the oldest light in the universe, a baby picture of the cosmos itself. And our final clue comes from the laws of thermodynamics. Put simply, these laws tell us the universe is kind of like a wound-up clock that's slowly winding down.
The total useful energy is limited, and it's always decreasing as things get more disordered. And here's the thing about a clock that's winding down. It couldn't have been running forever. It had to have been wound up at some point. It had to have a beginning.
So we have these two really powerful stories about where we came from, one from ancient faith and the other from modern science. And this is where it gets absolutely fascinating, because we're going to bring these two threads back together.
So, on one hand, you have a perspective like the Christian one that says the universe is the result of a planned, intentional act by a creator. And on the other, you have the naturalist view that says it's the result of physical processes, of natural laws playing out. The who versus the how. They seem like they're from completely different worlds, right? And yet, they both land on one single profound idea. Both the ancient Book of Genesis and the modern Big Bang model completely reject the idea that the universe has just always been here, eternal and unchanging. Whether by a divine command or a quantum event, they both agree on this absolutely critical point. The universe had a beginning. And that shared conclusion, that time and space and all the stuff in it aren't eternal, but that they came into being, that's just one of the most stunning points where faith and science actually meet. And it leaves all of us with one last big question to think about. If our universe really did have a beginning, what does that imply about its end?